The numbers suggest that the defense is just fine. They've given up 29 points in the last 3 weeks, something like that. Offensively, however, we laid them out earlier, and I was cherry-picking stats, to be fair. They are 2-3, as they were last year, 2-3 with Zach Wilson. Completion percentage, pretty much the same. Passer rating in the same neighborhood. Now, Rodgers is throwing for roughly 30-something yards more per game than Zach Wilson did. And look, Aaron Rodgers is operating this offense better than Zach Wilson did. However, the results are similar. What are the PFF numbers telling us?
Yeah, I think specifically when you look at this offense, and that's been the topic of conversation ever since the news came out about Robert Saleh, is like, okay, how does this fix the offense? Like, how does this make things any different? And you wonder if it's just because, was there something going on behind the scenes with how the locker room was coming out and playing these games that was just putting them behind the 8 ball before the game even started? Because when you talk about some PFF numbers and we're able to sort of contextualize, like, okay, we can look at different things. We can not only look at like red zones and third downs, but also we could break things up into quarters and halves and see how teams are playing like throughout the game. You know, we talk about all those opening scripts with drives, how it's supposed to look easy. The Minnesota Vikings, a team they just played, make it look pretty easy. And when you look at the Jets specifically, first quarter stats, my co-host on the PFF NFL show, Dalton Wasserman, found these numbers. When it comes to first quarter PFF grade on offense, they're dead last in the NFL. They're also 30th on first drives of any sort of situation on offense. First 15 plays, the scripted plays, right? All right, maybe even if you go 3 and out, you still got some scripted plays on the next drive, whatever. First 15 plays, dead last PFF offensive grade. And then the first play of every single drive as well. They are 29th in PFF grade. How they are starting games, how they are starting drives, how they are coming out of the locker room and supposedly supposed to set the tone on the offensive side of the ball, it's horrendous. It puts them behind the 8 ball before it even goes. And so I just think that that is a major, major issue of this offense, that if you want to say, okay, how does firing Robert Saleh change anything on this team? Perhaps there was a lack of juice. Perhaps that is maybe the reason why you move on from him, because the vibes weren't great. You know, you don't want to make multi-million-dollar decisions off of just vibes, but sometimes we talk about, losing the locker room and not having these guys energized, not having them ready, and penalties are sometimes a way that we can look at that. But how you start out of the gate, first quarter, I mean, we're 5 weeks into the season. This is a decent enough sample size to where the Jets are almost dead last in every single offensive situation when it comes to starting. They're just starting way too slow.
That's fascinating. Honestly, I did not expect that. Trevor Sikkema here from PFF. I'll compare it real quick to the Browns. I obviously, for those who don't know, do Browns games, and their offensive numbers are not good, not sugarcoating anything. However, they have been good out of the gate. Last week was the first week on which they did not have points on an opening drive. 2 weeks ago in Vegas, they had a 15-play opening drive, touchdown drive that took 9.5 minutes off the clock. The week before that, they had a 1-play, 24-yard touchdown drive. 1 play right out of the gate. Bam, explosive touchdown. So they have opened well. You're telling me the Jets have not. What about their offensive line numbers? What do they say, Trevor?
Well, the offensive line it has not been good enough as a group. And specifically, I look at how they're performing in the run game, because this is a team that, although all the talk is about Aaron Rodgers, they want to stay balanced. It's not like they've got 4 all-pro guys that they want to throw to. They've got some guys that they like, obviously with Garrett Wilson at the top, but they want to be a balanced football team. Breece Hall, they feel, is an all-pro talent and one of the best 5 backs in the NFL. So they want to get him going. We're 5 games into the season, and 3 out of the 5 games in which Breece Hall has played, he is averaging negative yards before contact. The offensive line just cannot block for this dude. So I don't really know what you want at this point. In fact, the season high for a single game performance for Breece Hall when it comes to yards before contact is 0.4. It's not even 1 yard per attempt.
That's nuts.
So right, and that's why it's like they got good guys on the team, but 2 areas that are really struggling: how they are as an offense out of the gate, and then what they are as an offensive line, specifically when blocking for Breece Hall, because there have been a couple performances where Braylon Allen, he's been able to get it going. He's had a little bit better blocking. You normally get 2, maybe 3 if you're great, yards before contact, and Braylon Allen's had that at times. It hasn't existed at all for Breece Hall. Every single yard that he has this season, he has had to earn himself after contact. Those aren't the kind of numbers that you want. So, obviously we're all talking about the passing game and everything like that, but part of why this team is so slow out of the gate is because they do want to establish the run at the beginning, and they absolutely cannot do that right now. Their offensive line is not blocking well enough as a unit. So those two areas for the Jets are big areas that, Robert Saleh or not, have to get better. This team is not going to get where they want to go.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.